Protection can be a funny one. It's like going to a fancy dress party but not knowing the dress code. You don't want to turn up overdressed and looking silly, but you don't want to be underdressed either. And protection is very much the same. Do you choose that lightweight, super skinny knee pad, but maybe you just don't quite have the protection there? Or do you go for the all-out burly pad, but things are going to get a bit hotter, maybe a bit more restricted in the movement? Which do you go for? Well, thanks to G-Form for sending through a wide variety of pads. These guys have been in the game a long time, using things like advanced polymer technology to make some of the most legit pads out there. We're going to be looking at the various levels of protection that each one has and what might be best for you. Before we dive into the depths then of wearing these pads out onto the trail, we need to take a look at what sets them apart from each other and then what kind of riding each one is best for. All-day pads, as I call them, are a minimalist pad aimed at going out on all-day epics. Maybe predominantly XC based, or those of you living in a hot climate and want to go for the most ventilated, then these are the beauties for you. Protection is on the lower end of the scale, but breathability and weight are on your side, and they'll definitely take the edge off the scrapes and impacts. A great example of these are the X3s. Now, these have a compression sleeve with EVA foam on the knee, and over the top of that is G-Form's Smart Flex padding, placing these firmly in the all-day category. Next in line, a trail pad. A step up from the all-day pads, these beauties are for when things start to get a little more serious and the consequences a little more higher. Something like black trails, or if you're starting to race some enduros. Still great for those all-day rides, there'll be a balance of protection with mobility and ventilation. The Pro Rugged fills this genre nicely by offering an extra layer of protection over the knee called Armor-Tex. This is going to help stop any extra abrasions or cutting, but yet still being contoured for the body and allowing a lot of movement. Finally in our lineup is a full-on Enduro Downhill style pad, the creme de la creme of protection. The biggest and burliest pads out there, and the ones that will give you undoubtedly the most protection, but remarkably will still be made with breathable materials, just not quite as much as the previous two types. Now, whether you're racing the gnarliest EWS stages or your local downhills, then these E-lines could be the one for you. Like I said, the top dog of protection with a hard shell added onto the top. They are going to protect you from all the impacts, but still keep you cool with things like their 4-layer ventilation system. And if you are spending all day in them, then don't worry, the flat lock stitching is going to stop any chafage as well. As with most things in the bike world then, the more engineering required, the more the price goes up, and it's no different here. Your all-day pads are going to cost you the least as they're the simplest. Next up, as levels of protection and manufacturing go up, so does the cost, which is where the trail pads sit. Then after this, the downhill pads. This is because they require the most material and tech to make, but also by far offer the largest array of features. A few things worth thinking about when choosing your next set of pads are a few practicalities. So things like, are they machine washable? You're going to sweat in these bad boys an awful lot over time, so being able to just chuck them in the washing machine to get them nice and clean is something that shouldn't be overlooked. If the pads that you choose come with any weird special care instructions, well then this could really prove to be a pain in the butt over time. Wait then, it sounds silly, but when you're wearing these things all day, it's definitely worth thinking about. Now, the all-day pads are going to usually be the lightest ones out there, with the downhill enduro style pads weighing in the most. This actually also ties me in nicely with portability. If you're not wearing them, you're going to have to carry them. Having a set of downhill pads swinging around your shins can be irritating and uncomfortable, so look at what will work best for you, and if maybe slinging it in your backpack, then slimmer lightweight ones will be easy to carry and take up less space. Lastly, protection will often have a CE certificate, which means the product conforms to various health, safety and environmental standards. So in this case, With the protection here, it's CE-1621-1, meaning it has been tested and can withstand certain forces and impacts as officially tested in a lab. Not all pads have a CE certificate, often trail pads and upwards will, so if protection is the name of the game and something that you're looking for, make sure whatever you choose does have this. An all-day pad will generally be very minimal in makeup, with most consisting of some kind of sleeve with a pad on the knee or elbow, but not all are created equal, mind. Look for features such as how easily you'll be able to move in them. You should be able to bend and move freely and easily. They'll be designed in a way that mimics the way your leg flexes and moves. Also, the compression sleeve should have something to help it stay in place when you're doing that all-day pedaling, so gripper strips at the top and bottom will help to keep things firmly in place. Finally, the pad itself then. These, for example, use G-Form's SmartFlex technology, a type of foam that hardens on impact. G-Form say that the molecules that make it up actually bind together when they take a hit, giving you maximum protection, then soften back up again after, allowing you to move freely and hopefully carry on your ride. Next up then is the trail pad. Slightly burlier in construction over the all-day pads, they get a few upgrades in the sense of slightly thicker padding on the knees and the sleeve that they are attached to as well. Still retaining a lot of the great qualities to your all-day pads, so things like flexibility, movement and breathability, but just bumped up in a few other areas to provide you with that bit more security. You can see that here on these trail pads. The added bonus is that on top of that layer of SmartFlex is what G-Form call Armortex, a Kevlar-based fabric designed to help stop tearing the knee pads and you to pieces, so you can ride in confidence. The sleeve all this is attached to is now double knitted, meaning there's 2 layers to help keep it in place, as well as those rubber grip strips top and bottom. We also have a Velcro tightening system, which will often start to creep in on more trail-orientated pads to fine-tune just how sturdy these stay in place. Lastly, the top dog of protection then, the downhill or the Enduro style knee pad. Now, these things are the burliest, the best. They are going to give you the most protection. So if that's what you're looking for, these are definitely the way to go. With things like hard shells, the toughest materials and the toughest construction when it comes to things like stitching as well, really they're going to be the best you can get for that. You'll often see them adorn the knees and elbows of World Cup downhillers, EWS racers and free riders alike. Look for that CE number as well, and really that is about as much as you can do to stop them bangs and bruises. Over the trail pad, you'll often find a hard shell on the joint to help disperse impact. Velcro straps are used top and bottom this time to firmly hold things in place and to stop any twisting or movement when the time comes that your knees or elbows undoubtedly do come into contact with something. It's the money. Now let's take a look at them out on the trails. The all-day pad is aimed at everything from beginner flow trails to epic all-day rides. They provide enough protection to stop the inevitable cuts and scrapes, but allow for a good range of movement and ventilation. Perfect for when the weather heats up or to chuck in your riding pack at the bottom of a climb. The trail pad is designed for the trickier tracks out there, ranging from longer enduro trails to technical downhill runs. Similar to the all-day pad, they provide good ventilation for pedaling all day in. However, they now deliver more protection, which is something that is needed when the trails get that little bit rowdier. The downhill enduro style pads, these are aimed at the toughest, gnarliest of trails out there. World Cup downhill tracks, no problem. Enduro World Series, completed it mate. Red Bull Rampage, ha, easy peasy. The hard shell design offers the most protection, whilst Velcro straps top and bottom keep the pads nicely in place. Woo! Wow, there we go then. That is all the riding done for today. And do you know what? It's become really apparent that pad manufacturers have done a great job of tailoring pads to really suit the needs and types of riding that different people do. Next time you're thinking of choosing your pads, really take into consideration what kind of riding you do and the level of protection that you want out of that pad as well. It can really come down to a confidence thing as well. If you want more confidence, maybe a bigger pad for maximum protection. But that's enough gassing from me. Thank you very much, Tech Channel, for having me. It's been really fun. Let me know what you thought down in the comments. Give us a little thumbs up, why not? And I will catch you next time. Thanks very much for watching, everyone.